anywhere from Yanchep to Mandurah.
Claire is no pilot, but her radar can see a jet from 200 kilometres. Liam was a high flyer at school, but he never expected a trade apprenticeship working with turbojets. Pat is no vice admiral, but his designs help our Navy ships push new limits. None of them are in the Defence Force, but they're shaping their careers to make the most of the Australian government's $200 billion investment in defence capability. Discover your career pathway in the workforce behind the Defence Force. Visit defenceindustry.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra. Spoken by M. Robinson.
Until midnight, this is Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley on 882 6PR.
Indeed, must be time to have a chat to Ben Aylett. Of course, he's our man in technology from benaylett.com. He's actually from Easy Wireless, but his website is benaylett.com. And as we often say, 1 L, 2 T's in Aylett.
That's right.
Recognisable by his Hawaiian shirt. Mate, I think we might need to have a volcanic eruption on one of those.
You know, that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? That'd be very apt.
Yes. I wonder if we can find them.
Look, I'm sure there'll be some Hawaiian T-shirt company out there just capitalising on the latest happening in Hawaii.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And those people in Hawaii kind of knew. Apparently there are all sorts of underground tubes, and they have a name for them. I think they're called
lava tubes.
Are they called fizzes or something like that? Anyway, my friend, before we start, by the way, if you'd like to have a chat to Ben, if you're looking at your piece of technology, whatever it is, telephone, TV,
or if you've got a question in general,
radio, PC, tablet, or some other question like, what's all this about? What the hell should I buy?
Yeah.
It kind of gets you there. Before we go any further, at 7 o'clock tonight, our friends in this building at watoday.com.au.
That's right.
Fired up their new website. We had a bit of a look at it. I've got to say, mate, not bad.
It looks pretty good. Yes. A nice clean look, and it's just the way to go, really. I'm actually quite happy with it. So a lot of people are doing similar designs.
There's a couple of things they've come out with where it presents the ads in a much better way, but there are less of them, so they're less intrusive, but they're still there. I mean, obviously they have to be.
That's right.
Because otherwise they wouldn't be able to run the website because it's the advertisers who fund it. And the other thing, they've got this thing, I suppose it's a bit like a bin, where if there's stories you want when you're going through, you can just grab the stories and drop it in the bin, and it's a way of saying, I'm interested in having a look at this, but I can't look at it right now.
Yeah.
So when you go back later, you can go back to this bin, and instead of having to search the website to find the story that you thought you might like to read later, it will be sitting in the bin.
Yeah, that's right. It's actually called a short list. So all of the stories have got a little plus sign in the top right-hand corner, and if it's a story you're interested in, you just hit that little plus sign and it gets added to your short list. So it really reduces the amount of, I suppose, wading through all the other articles you're not interested in.
But it also means if you don't have time to read everything now, you can go back to it. Like you look at a story and think, let's say, for example, you're on your way to work, you look at a story, you think, oh, I can save that story and have a look at it later.
Yeah, that's right.
And you don't then have to go, gee, there's all these other stories that popped up today. I've now got to go searching for it.
Yeah, and that's also a really big problem, especially if you're relying on social media to get your news. It's happened to me a few times, and it also happened to the wife last night where she saw a story she thought was interested. She scrolled, and then she came back and it was gone. So at least this way, WA Today is taking care of that problem. Something you're interested in, hit the plus sign, and it goes into your shortlist.
Yeah,
and
the other thing is your plus sign, you don't have to be a member. You don't actually have to log in for it.
That is really cool. That is going to be a killer feature.
Yeah.
Just about every service on the internet these days requires you to sign in, sign up, or somehow give information away and subscribe to a service. At least with WA Today, you just get in. There's no need to add any details or log in or verify who you are, which is very, very cool.
And you can create it up. The shortlist is a very, very good feature of that.
It is.
And the other thing is they've made it easy to navigate. Right, you've got the menu, which then gives you everything. Instead of the menu appearing, what happens is you just have a thing menu, and you've got your 3 bars. You just click on that.
That's right.
And it comes as a drop down.
There you go. Yeah, it slides out. That's nice.
Which is nice.
Very
and
nice.
Also, if you look at that, whatever your interest, I don't know, something that we know is going to be quite popular.
Technology.
Technology. There we go.
Right there.
You change to technology, but then if you want to, it's very, very easy for you to save the technology as your page.
Yes.
So when you then go back to it, you can open it. The same applies, like, for example, if you're really into sport, as many are. Sport's your favourite page, bang, you can do the same thing.
Yeah, that's super cool. I like it.
And once again, you've got everything with your shortcut options. So congratulations to our friends at watoday.com.au. Very nicely set out website, and one that, hallelujah, has been set up with the average person in mind.
Well, there you go.
It's not a system that's been designed by geeks for geeks. It's actually been designed for everyday people who, like yourself, who like to get online and read their stories.
Yep.
That's from our friends at watoday.com.au.
All right.
Well, according to the Australian government, now this is one of those lines, well, it came from the government, so please accept my scepticism before we go any further. But they say Australia will be ready for driverless cars by 2020, which means they've set themselves a target of about 18 months.
Yes, 18 months to remove some 700 laws which are currently standing in the way of autonomous vehicles on Australian roads. Now, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that we'll be having self-driving cars in 18 months. It means that the government will
The technology won't have been perfected within 18 months.
I don't know. It just feels like we're getting very, very close. But what's happening now is that the government, and I think this has got a lot to do with the IntelliBus project that's been kicked off by the RAC a couple of years ago. That little bus down on the South Perth
Down on the
foreshore?
South Perth foreshore, yeah.
That was actually brought in with the intent to get the authorities speaking about how we're going to cater for driverless technology now and in the future. And
It's not so much a case of how we're going to cater for it, it's also going to be how is it going to function.
Exactly.
I mean, the big debate we've all talked about the technology. We've talked about people's willingness to accept technology. Now, I've got to tell you, the concept that somebody could jump into a driverless car, absolutely blind snake's hissed and let it drive them home, that probably appeals to a lot of people. But the one discussion we haven't had, and we seem to almost want to pretend it's not there, are the potential flaws in the technology.
Yep.
What happens when something goes wrong? And the moment somebody talks to me about any technology and tells me, oh, nothing will go wrong, I get back to the argument I've always used, and it still holds true.
Yep.
Show me a piece of technology that functions flawlessly.
Yep, true. And look, I always sort of fall back on my little thing that I like to say when it comes to autonomous vehicles and automation. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be better. But, yes, granted, it's going to be hard to accept when things do go wrong. And this is also another one of the conversations that the authorities are going to be having. So if a system fails and if there is an injury or a fatality or some sort of incident, the NTC, so this is the National Transport Commission, they are thinking on ways that they're going to solve who's at fault and how it gets resolved. So
You see, they won't solve it. You know who'll solve it?
insurance companies.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Because it's all going to come down to what insurance industry is prepared to pay out on and what they're not.
Yep.
And if you, for example, are involved in a bingle in a driverless car and you say, hey, not my fault, it's the car manufacturer, it's the manufacturer of the software that's driving the car, mate, there are two things that will sort this out, the insurance industry and the legal profession.
Yes.
And ultimately the courts, because they will make the determinations which will set the precedents.
Yeah, and we've just got to hope that when it comes down to decisions being handed down, that they are logical and fair and they just make sense as far as the wider community is concerned. So I'm really, personally, I'm actually very much looking forward to seeing what happens and what sort of standards the NTC puts in place as what they deem to be a safe and acceptable autonomous vehicle. So I'm looking at the benchmarks they'll be setting, and I'll also be looking at the interaction with the insurers. So the RAC, for one, have been very forward-thinking and really getting behind this autonomous technology because obviously they see an avenue here either for generating revenue or reducing their risk. So I think reducing the risk is pretty much the main thing they're going for here. And when it comes to reducing risk, I mean, we've got to win with that, that's for sure. So, by 2020, we expect to have a legal framework in place that's been worked on by the NTC that will accommodate driverless vehicles and sort of skipping over those 700 hurdles that are currently stopping driverless vehicles from operating within Australia.
Yeah, well, it came as no surprise you'd have the hurdles there.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you know,
this is a whole new game. We've got to get new
with the
rules for it.
technology that we had, we could hardly have a whole bunch of people driving around with no one sitting behind the wheel, mate.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting as well. So I see in about 5, maybe 10 years' time, the driver's license itself will actually cease to exist. We'll probably get things like operator's tickets, and your proficiency will go about as far as hitting a big red button on the dashboard just in case things go wrong. And that's something you could get a 16-year-old to do or a 12-year-old to do. So there will be, I think, a lowering of that age of independence where you can jump in a vehicle and get around.
See, that's when you've got a problem.
Yeah, and that's one of the discussions we've got to have.
Yeah, but you see, what happens, what they don't realise is everyone thinks that, they'll just legislate and that'll be fine. Won't work that way.
Yep.
What's going to happen is there will be legal precedents set, because at some point, especially the insurance industry, they'll go, well, hang on a second.
Yeah.
If you've only got a bunch of teenagers in the car, none of whom are currently licensed age, we're not simply just going to accept that. Because even if something goes wrong, it could then be argued that those people lack the capacity to be able to, or maturity to be able to deal with that. Okay, now, it may well be that, unfortunately, we put a bunch of people in the cemetery and then we go away and have the legal argument, but it'll nonetheless be reality.
Yeah, it will. And that's one of the things we've got to discuss and we've got to work out. If there are no controls in the vehicle, are the people inside the vehicle responsible for what the vehicle does? And I'd argue that, no, they wouldn't be responsible. But if there is some sort of interaction, then yes.
There'll have to be some form of interaction, because I can't imagine a circumstance where you would just simply allow a computer to drive something. Apart from anything else, you've got an acceptability issue.
Yep.
You also have that liability issue, because it could be the scenario whereby if the driver or somebody has a capacity to take control of the vehicle, you could then be in the situation where you won't have the software company being liable.
Yep.
If people have no control, then people will absolutely not in any way, shape or form be liable. And so therefore any liability will pass across to companies.
Yeah.
Now, basically, we all know that they want to operate on the basis of all care, no responsibility. So therein lies the challenge.
We're on the lookout for Perth Live's local legend with the Freitas and Ryan. If you...
882 6PR. This is Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley.
Yeah, sometimes you look at things and think, wow, could that really be true? Ben Aylett's here, by the way, talking technology. Ben from Easy Wireless. Don't forget the website, which is Ben Aylett's, 1L, 2 T's in aylets.com.au. Am I reading things? I did say something about, this does seem strange. Telstra unlimited mobile phone data. Surely you make a mistake.
No, it is unlimited, or they say endless data. I think in the language they've avoided the actual word unlimited, but it is effectively unlimited. Okay, so here's how it works.
I hate, something? Yep. I hate it when they do two things. Are really, really, really funny with words. Yep. It's called a form of words in legal parlance. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, I always look for the asterisk.
Yep.
So can I start by asking you, where is the asterisk and what does it say?
Okay, the asterisk is right after the word unlimited or endless. So here's how it works. It is a 12-month contract. So you sign up for 12 months.
Yep.
It is $70 a month, I'm pretty sure. Yes, $70 a month. And it's gone live, by the way. So if you want to get onto it, you can. It is 40 gig of data allowed at the fastest speed you can get. So
how does that equate to unlimited? That's 40 gigs, not unlimited.
Okay, we'll get there. So the first 40 gig is as fast as you can get it. And then once it gets to 40 gig, it doesn't cut off the data. It keeps going, but you're slowed down to 1.5 gig. 1.5 gigabits per second. So instead of 40 gigabits per second, it's 1.5 gigabits per second. Yes, drastically reduced, but that data keeps going.
So what you're telling me is it's like driving one of the cars at the Bathurst 1000 when somebody's disconnected 4 of the cylinders.
It is throttled back a bit, yes, and that's the term. It's throttled. But it is still, throttled. At the end of that...
Why does everything have a asterisk next to it? I mean, they're either going to offer us unlimited data or they're not. Why do they have to throttle things? You know, in real life, people get charged when they throttle other people.
That's true. It's a step in the right direction, right? We are not there at that utopia where you get all data, one fixed price, as flat out and no limitations.
Why not?
Well, I don't know why we aren't there yet. I've asked that question myself.
You're the technical genius. Come up with a technical reason. Let's go and nail these people and say there is no technical reason why this shouldn't happen now.
Well,
I'm trying to get a better deal here, by the way.
Yeah, it is complicated, and there are a lot of contracts and machinations in the background, which mean that we can't quite yet get that truly unlimited plan.
Right. So what we've got is we've got a whole bunch of contracts sold to people who didn't know what they were getting by people who had no idea what they were talking about.
I wouldn't go that far. I would just say it's just the way things have worked out. We've probably got some incumbent contracts hanging around from 5-10 years ago, which still have to find their way out of the system. And once I think those barriers are down, the first telco to offer really, really unlimited as fast as you can manage data, they are going to absolutely conquer the market. They all know this.
And since we're talking about a virtual rather than a real product, I mean, it's not like going to your local deli and arguing about the wholesale cost of milk.
Yes.
Right? You've got a physical product for which they have to sell at buy at a physical price and then sell at another physical price. When we talk about data, it's something virtual. I mean, as long as you're connected, it's there.
Yeah.
Aaron.
How you going, boys?
Good, mate.
Hey, I'm having great fun with my ISP now since I went on to NBN, but they've since downgraded my speed plan to whatever they claim, my speed is capable of.
Yep.
But to me, it sounds like they're just covering their own bottoms, so to speak. And so, yes, this person achieves what they wanted to sign up for, but I'm still having hopeless streaming issues, buffering while watching internet TV. I'm saying, God, what year are we living in? Do I change internet service providers, or is it what they say it is, which is they reckon your house isn't capable of that speed?
All right, so let's get into the details. What sort of speeds are we talking? So where did you start and where are you now with your speeds?
Before I had NBN, I was fine, 25 meg up and probably, I don't know, 20 meg upload. So, yeah, 25 download, 20 meg upload.
Okay.
Then NBN came along and I'm sort of hitting maybe those targets in the middle of the day when no one else is on it.
Oh, okay.
But I can't. I can watch Netflix and Stan and all that sort of stuff because it's already pre-recorded internet. But as soon as I start to stream channels, it's hopeless.
Well, when you're streaming with the internet, there should be no issue, should there, Ben? I mean, if the internet's working even a quarter as well as they claim, there's absolutely no way the NBN should be lagging.
Look, what area
they
are you in, Aaron?
They reckon it's because it's live internet that's the problem. Because Netflix and Stan are already loaded, so to speak. That's not where the issue is. It's just when I've got a fetch box what I'm using, so all the internet services on that fetch box are the ones that are issue. I'm in Rockingham, right in the middle of Rockingham. Nothing wrong with my so
all right. Should be running at 100 miles an hour in the middle of Rockingham.
Okay, and this fetch box, it's the same fetch box that you got from your internet service provider?
No, I bought it from JB Hi-Fi, so I'm not attached to a plan or anything. Okay. Yep.
All right. Now, because we are mixing and matching on, yes, at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter. You should be able to take a device, plug it into a service, and it should work. But I have a suspicion that there may be something up with the configuration of the fetch box where it might be trying to use a path that's not as efficient as one would be. Look, say you're with Optus and you get your fetch box from Optus. That fetch box is likely to be tuned to work with the Optus network better than any other fetch box would. Okay, so
it's just Netflix and Stan work on the fetch box. It's just the internet channels on there.
Just the streaming. Okay, so things like live YouTube and live Twitch streaming,
or E and Style and all the Foxtel channels that they offer you on Fetch. Yep.
Okay. Right. So all the Foxtel stuff. All right. Well, now we look at where the service is coming from. So if it works fine with Netflix and works fine with YouTube and all the other services, and it's only falling down on Fox, then there's a problem with Fox itself.
Yeah, but if Fetch offer you the stations that are on Foxtel as without being Fox Sport or anything, they offer all the E, Style, Lifestyle.
So you're getting it from a third-party provider.
Correct.
Yep. Okay.
Foxtel don't own those stations, I'm led to believe, so Fetch have them to give to you.
Yeah, so it's whoever's providing you access to those channels. They are the ones who are most likely having problems. So it's not so much in the court of the internet service provider because everything else works fine. It's just the stuff coming from your fetch box. So I would recommend if you want some sort of a resolution, I'd probably get in touch with the people who's providing you the fetch service. So you've got to be paying someone for that fetch, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're subscribing directly to Fetch?
Yes.
Okay. I would have a chat to them. They may have something that they know in the tech support department. They might just say, oh, look, all you've got to do is change this setting and you're away. It could be something as simple as that, or it could be a real problem in their network that they have to go and look at fixing.
All right, I'll try that.
All right.
And let us know how you go, Aaron.
Good luck with it, mate.
I'd be most interested to find out. Why do we have to go through that rigmarole, Ben? I mean, really, you get a device these days, it should tune itself up and run.
You've seen technology before, right? It's not always that simple.
But you know something? I'd actually be a bastard if I was a legislator because I'd say, well, it should be that simple.
Yeah.
And you know something? It can be that simple. People make it difficult for their own commercial reasons. And the problem is just made even worse by the fact that we had a stupid government who made promises with the NBN that whether it could keep or not, it certainly didn't keep.
I'm Gareth Parker from the morning program where you had your say on the state government.
scared of the dentist? Are you avoiding visits and putting off treatment? If your teeth are breaking down and you're in pain, don't go on.
Perth Tonight with Chris Ilsley on 882 6PR.
9221 882, the telephone number. Like to have a chat to our tech fellow, Ben Aylett. That's benaylett.com.au.
That's right.
It's a man from Easy Wireless, identified by his Hawaiian shirt. Although we haven't had any eruptions on those yet.
No, I want to keep it that way.
Yeah, I kind of imagine why. G'day, Ben.
G'day, Chris. G'day, B2. It's B1 here.
How you doing, B1? Come on in.
Hey, listen, I'm not so sure if this is a question or a statement or a bit of feedback or whatever, but I've been with an internet service provider for quite some time. Won't necessarily name them, but they begin with a couple of I's.
I'll tell you how you describe them. Say
that again?
I'll tell you how you describe them. Best for less, dressed up as David Jones.
Yeah, something along those lines. But listen, I don't know if I live in a particularly bad area for internet service or whatever, but they've never been particularly fast on, I guess, what I had before was ADSL or ADSL2 or whatever it was. I've recently, through, I guess, no choice of my own, been forced, if you like, to re-sign a new contract with them and go to the NBN. And if I didn't stand up and fight them, they wanted to have me sign up for 2 years and pay a new connection fee and pay for a new modem and all the other jazz, which I refused to do. I can't believe they went with my argument, and I got out of that.
Oh, good one.
But either way, I've connected with them because I had no other choice. And it's marginally faster, but I reckon I've dropped out of service in the last week that I've had it. I've dropped out probably 10 times or more.
Okay.
And I'm far better off for speed and consistency using 4G.
Yeah, you probably would be. Okay, now, so you'd like to know what to do?
Well, I mean, from what I've heard, because I really wasn't looking forward to this situation because I've heard so many bad reports. But from what I've heard, you complain to the service provider, they put you on the NBN, they put you back to the service provider, and you end up just running around in circles.
Can I just explain something here? And I always wanted to explain this, and I want to explain this for everyone's benefit. Whoever your ISP is, doesn't matter who. Telstra, Optus, iiNet, Dodo, Bird, whatever the hell, doesn't matter. They are the person with whom you are dealing, right?
That's
the
it.
NBN, NBN company, is National Broadband Network Company, is a wholesale entity with whom you don't deal. So, for example, if you go in and buy Nestle products from your favourite supermarket, it is your supermarket you are dealing with, not Nestle, right? The supermarket deals with Nestle. So your ISP deals with NBN. So any issues you have, don't accept any of this, it's NBN problem, because if it is the NBN problem, your ISP has to deal with it because your ISP are buying wholesale from the NBN. The fact that there might be an issue, and it may well be NBN who are at issue, that's not your problem. That is actually your ISP's problem.
Can you hear me, Chris?
Loud and clear, mate.
Oh, good. I wasn't sure if you'd drop me off or not. Listen, I absolutely understand that. That's talking logic and common sense. That doesn't stop them trying to just put you into a never-ending cycle so that you give up.
No, I understand that too. What I'm saying is don't let them. And at that point say, well, listen, if you people are not prepared to do something about this, we're going to get the telecommunications industry ombudsman involved. Because this business of duck shoving people, what I'm telling you is exactly the same as if you went and had a problem with a product, you went back to Woolies and they said complain to the supplier.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect that. You'd expect Woolies to deal with the issue, and then they would then turn around and use their clout to say to their supplier, our customer had an issue with this, you better make it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'll end up cancelling the contract and just spending the money that I was spending with them, and getting extra data on my 4G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
It's a crazy situation. Welcome to the lucky country.
Yeah. I hear you, brother. I hear you. Thanks very much for that. Shouldn't have to go through this, but I'm serious when I say this. And yes, I know I get on my high horse. Yes, I do ramble, accept all of that. But trust me, my friend, when I tell you, do not let somebody tell you it's an NBN problem. It's their problem.
Yep, absolutely.
Mr. IINet, if Ben's internet is not working correctly, it's your problem.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a problem with the NBN, then you have to sort that problem with the NBN. Don't duck shove it to your customer.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not when it's the NBN. It's not your problem as a consumer, because the NBN is not a consumer-facing organisation. Mind you, they do a bit of the, I suppose, the PR and the political side of things. And there's actually a podcast. Did you know that there is a podcast from the NBN, and they try to explain all the technology and what they're doing?
Wow. Goes over most people's heads, I'm guessing.
No, it's actually quite down to earth. So if anyone is at all interested in learning more about the NBN, there is a podcast called Know Your NBN. And, you can find it on iTunes or on basically anywhere you find a good podcast, I'd imagine, or you can go straight to the NBN Co website and you should be able to find the podcast there. Check it out.
Yeah,
it's free.
It's good. Yeah. It's the kind of stuff that you and I can get excited about. Now, let me tell you about the average customer. All they want to know is that it's going to run.
Yes.
They've been told it's going to run a lot faster than what they had before. Mm-hmm. When it doesn't, they understandably get cranky about it.
Yep.
And this is what happens when people nerd out about this sort of stuff, including our friends at the NBN.
Yeah.
You know something, the average client doesn't give a stuff. They want whatever source, whether it's their PC, their laptop, doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
They've been told the NBN is the way of the future. It's supposed to be faster. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to be hassle-free, and they can stream. They can do all the stuff they want, and that's what they want.
Yes.
Right? The nerd stuff, that's the kind of stuff blokes like you and I get excited about.
Yep.
A lot of other people don't. They want to. It's not like running a car. Nobody gives a stuff how a car runs. They want to turn the engine on and it goes. Doesn't cost them too much. Mate, look at that clock.
Oh, bloody hell, look at that.
Yeah.
Jeez, it flies along, doesn't it?
It certainly does. By the way, if you'd like to get in contact with Ben, benaylett.com.au is the website, and that's where you'll find all of his contact information.
When Stan Bond Security first started back in